You can see the slides in here a little bit better if we do it this way.
Whatever's easier for
So,
you.
yeah, I think we're good. Awesome.
So you can press buttons?
Yes. Hey, everybody online.
We're live.
We're live here at the Ruston Chamber. So, hopefully this isn't going to get too annoying. I'm going to try to do this. So, I'm really excited to be here today. I'm Amy Riccardi. I am the Chief People Officer and CEO, founder of HCM2020. My company's been around since 2001. We focus on human capital, and we really do sit in between executive teams and their people and help them fix their people problems in organizations. We're not an HR company. We really are a business strategy company, and we really focus on people in the workplace issues. And our big thing right now is talking about the workplace of the future. There's a lot of things going on in the workplace right now that need to, that are shifting very, very quickly. We've identified about 20 of those items. There's a big kind of tsunami coming. And so that's really been our focus of our work. This issue is a personal one for me because I'm constantly on the lookout for tips, tricks, hacks to get more done in less time. And part of the reason why this kind of came about was the fact that I worked for a large management consulting firm really early on in my career and got into this whole habit of working like 80 and 100-hour weeks because that was the norm. You pretty much had no life. You pretty much worked all the time. And while the pay and benefits were fantastic, there was no work-life balance. It was only work. And it was very much a live to work versus work to live mentality. And so when I left and started this company in 2001, I literally hired a coach, and my goal for her, I literally told her, was you need to break me of the habit of working 80 to 100 hours a week. I want to get it down to 35 to 40, no more than that, but it needs to be really productive. And so her whole goal was to really, literally constantly checking in with me to be like, are you working? Are you taking downtime? Are you working? Are you taking downtime? So, so over the years, these have been some personal productivity hacks that I have really been focused on. And the issue of productivity and the issues around hiring right now are two of the biggest topics that I'm dealing with a lot of my my clients and my executive teams with. So I want to just kind of dive right into this. So you have in front of you literally kind of the outline of this presentation, hack by hack, written out. I'm actually going to give you 10 plus 2 bonus ones, so you're going to get 12 today. This is actually rolled into an online course around the 10 hacks. The online course goes into much more detail about each one of the 10, and a productivity seminar that's not covering the 10 hacks, but other kinds of more hands-on tactical things for entrepreneurs and executives, which is going to be launching in July, and that information's on the back, so you can kind of see how that rolls. Just to kind of get a sense of who's in the room, how many of you guys actually own or are the CEO or an executive of an organization? You have your own business or whatever? Okay, that sort of. And then those of you guys that are working for an executive team are working in a bigger organization? Yep, okay, cool. No, that's fine. I just want to kind of know kind of where I'm at so we have a good sense of this. So I'm going to just dive in. As we go along, if you have questions, please let me know. And we're just going to do this. So big thing here is if you want something different, you must be willing to go through the pain of making change. This is so incredibly true. And I'll tell you, I am no productivity expert. I'm going to tell you that right now. Every day I struggle with making sure that I'm organizing and sorting my day out in order to be the most productive that I possibly can be. I started this business originally, and just in total disclosure, because I was getting ready to have children, and I wanted to have the flexibility of managing my own time around that. And so there's a lot of other personal reasons around that, but ultimately that's what it came down to. So for me, being able to have that job flexibility and setting my own hours and my own work schedule and time is the way I've always worked. And ironically enough, I've been doing it ever since 2001 for the most part. So a big part of this is when things aren't going well, you really have to make a fundamental shift and decide, okay, I'm going to do something different, and literally make a big change and take that step. So one of the big issues around productivity, productivity is lack of productivity, I should say, and stress in particular is the number one reason, or the symptoms of it, or the number one reason why people go to the doctor and have massive health issues. It's a $300 billion issue for businesses around stress. And a big part of that is around productivity. People not being productive, just being extremely busy all the time. We've literally made being busy a cool thing. I don't know how many of you guys have ever said, I'm just so busy. Yeah, right, everybody, right, at some point in time. And I'm really trying to make a very conscious effort not to say that anymore, because you know what, number one, we're all busy, but I'd rather be productive and not necessarily busy. So it's a pretty serious issue. So let's jump into hack number one, which is all about mindset. One of the first things I really realized around this whole entire thing is if I want to really shift from working those 80 to 100 hour weeks, I had to do something very fundamentally different with my world on a daily basis. You have to make that big shift and make that decision that you're going to do something different and sort out what that looks like for you. And I'll tell you, productivity for me is going to look different than productivity for each one of you. Like each of you has to sort out for yourself what productivity means to you and what that looks like. And I would hope you would say productivity is not 80 hours a week. Let's hope that that's not how you're going to define it. But you have to make your own decisions about what works. These 10 hacks, or 12 hacks in this case, are tips, tricks, and things that you can use. Some of these things you're going to be like, that is so obvious. And I did that on purpose because I want to give you some low-hanging fruit that you can take and run with today. And some of these are going to take a little bit more energy and effort to implement. And I did that on purpose because I want to give you some things to kind of stretch towards. Right? I didn't want to just make it all super simple, like duh kind of things. But there are a couple of them in here that are, and they're done intentionally because they really do make a really big impact. And a big part of this is just all around your mindset. So the next one really is filtering your inbound messaging. Okay, this one is really important. Again, you're going to think this is a low-hanging fruit, easy, until you start doing this, and this is going to become a lot more challenging, and you'll see why. The concept here is that as an executive and as an entrepreneur, you need to be the #1 protector of your time. If you have an admin person that's helping you out, things in this whole issue of getting all this stuff, we let all these other people kind of drive our agenda for the day, instead of us taking it by the reins and saying, look, this is my world, my life, and I'm going to run this how I want to run it. A big attention to when you're checking emails. All of that inbound messaging gets your brain thinking about other things besides what you probably want to be focusing on. All right? What was that?
I said amen, sister.
Yeah, it is. It's so true, right? And it's, and we got ourselves as a collective of people, wired and crazy around the news at the end of last year and even the beginning of this year. And I think it really has derailed a lot of people from really focusing on what's really important to them. So what I'm going to say is that you have to be very, very protective of what you're letting into your sphere and what you're letting into your brain and when you're doing that. I have literally shut down all of my news notifications on my phone. I've shut down all of the news notifications on my computer. If I want the news, I have to proactively go get it, and I do it at a set point in time in the day, because if I read something that I'm not happy with or I get disturbed about or whatever, it's being done on my time, and it's not going to impact other things that I want to be doing, or I'm not going to be thinking about it versus the other things I want to be doing. So, and it's not just news, it's like emails, junk mail, all that kind of stuff. So really pay attention to filtering out your inbound messaging and being very protective of your time. Kind of create that clean slate for yourself in order to be able to be productive. All right, the third one here, and you cannot read this, and that's done intentionally. Yeah.
How would you suggest you do that? You talked about email and clarity. Do you suggest scheduling hard times to do things like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Working your schedule is going to be really important.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, that's coming from somebody who used to be like a Franklin planner, like when it first, like years and years. I have 15 years of Franklin planner binders. I used to be a rigid, everyday super planner. I think after I had kids, I went on the Myers-Briggs thing I went to the opposite end of that whole spectrum really fast. I've gotten back now to where I schedule blocks of time on my calendar, and I work my blocks. And that's just what I do. And I leave free time. I leave space open on my calendar where I don't have things. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you schedule free time for yourself, you can do whatever you want. That may be the time you want to check the news. That may be the time you want to check your email, whatever. But yeah, I definitely set time in my calendar for that kind of stuff. This one is, by the way, I would say, the lowest of the low-hanging fruit. So if you go in tomorrow and start doing this one tomorrow, this is going to make an enormous amount of headway on your productivity. So here's what you do. You want to clear your inbox of all of those useless emails and email subscriptions that you had to put in when you went to go visit so-and-so's website, and it forced you to put in your email address right there at the beginning. And by the way, you have to do that kind of online too, so I'm just saying, mine as well, right? But you need to unsubscribe from all of this crap in your inbox. Yeah.
Can I make a comment, please?
Yes.
I did this last week.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It takes a few days, and you just open your email, and there's nothing. And then you look at it several hours later, and there's one email from someone you know. And,
Yeah.
then it gets busy in the morning with work stuff, but it's amazing how long
Yeah,
it...
I did this on all my email accounts, and I say all because I have multiple businesses, I have lots of different email addresses. I spent 1 week, twice a day, literally, not even 5 minutes, by the way, it does not take you long to do this. But I check my email twice a day, and I would set aside like 5 minutes to go through and click on it and unsubscribe. And so for those of you who are like, I don't really know exactly how to do that, let me just show you a couple things. These are 2 examples of email. And by the way, I'm never unsubscribing from Marie Forleo, just saying. But this is the one that was in my inbox, so I wanted just to show you. So at the very bottom of any one of these junk email, or any of these email newsletters, if it's a mass email out, by law they have to have an unsubscribe button at the very bottom of it. However, that is not always easy to find. Okay, sometimes it's really obvious, like Marie Forleo says manager subscription. Right here, you click it, it'll have a pop-up, it'll say unsubscribe, whatever, and you just click it and you're done. Usually it's either 1 or 2 clicks to get this finished. This is from American Airlines. You know, like hey, I got a trip for you for $200, and then when you go buy it, it's $500. That email, right? Up here, you can't read it, but it says update email preferences. That's where you have to click. Sometimes it's buried in this legal language down here at the bottom somewhere. You never really know. This is the whole bottom of the email, by the way. So it could be buried in a link that's obvious, or it can just be something like this that's not obvious, or it could be just a word down here that says unsubscribe. But if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, somewhere down there in that, it's either a 1-click or a 2-click option. Just unsubscribe. I can always go back later. If I decide I want to go on a trip, I can go subscribe to American Airlines stuff again and go get what I want. Right? That's usually not a problem. If you're not reading the emails, or if you have great intentions of reading the emails but you still don't, just unsubscribe for now. You'll always go back and get it later.
Another way to do it that I've done with the number is just create a rule in Outlook to push to set up another email newsletters, push to that inbox, and then you can just ignore it, or if you have extra time, you're like, oh, anything interesting, just click.
Yeah, you can always set up rules to that too, yeah. I'm too lazy to set up rules. I wish I wasn't.
It's not that hard.
Now our cyber
it's not.
class
Yeah.
would tell you to just be wary of when you do click. You might want to hover over it just so it's not taking you to a bad place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, American
Yeah.
Airlines, I get,
Yeah.
all the good people that you trust, but some of the other ones you don't trust, just be careful.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds bad.
Yeah, and email rules, that's too. If you're into doing email rules, that's a great way to do it as well. But you want it out of your primary email account, right? Because then, and what's not in here that I would tell you is, I check email twice a day. I check it late morning and I check it late afternoon. So sometime between 11 and 12 usually, and then I crash, like just my body, I just crash around 4, and that's really when I have to go like work out or I'm gonna fall asleep. So sometime right before then, like 3:30, 3:45, I'll check my email again. And that's kind of what I do. Now that doesn't mean that I necessarily don't see the emails coming in on my phone, because if it buzzes and I see it, but I will not open it usually. I mean, it's rare. If I'm sitting in line waiting for something, I might. I can't say I don't, but I'm not. One of the things and I also turn my email off, my notifications off on my phone a lot. I leverage that feature all the time. Or I just turn my phone on airplane mode so it doesn't even come in. That's actually what I do even more. So if you ever call me and you just rolls right into voicemail, it's probably because I've turned my phone off. Because again, I own my day. I have things I want to get done that are my priorities for my business. I have a goal of really getting this business to $1 million company in the next 3 years. I cannot do that if every single day and every single minute of every day I am responding to everybody else's stuff on their timeline. It is not going to happen. So I literally shut it all down, get my stuff done in the morning, and then work on everybody else's stuff later in the day. All right, hack number 4, big picture clarity. Really hard to be productive if you don't have a really clear picture of where you want to go. You're otherwise just kind of flailing around and responding to things instead of being really proactive. So one of the things that we do in our bigger productivity course, the bigger seminar, is talking about big picture clarity and figuring out what you want. So the big question I love asking prospective clients, by the way, this is a great, if you're sitting there with a prospective client asking them this question, this is brilliant. I didn't come up with this, by the way. If we were sitting down, in this case having coffee, because that would be probably what I'd be doing with you, but if we were sitting down a year from now, looking back on the previous year, what would need to have happened in order for you to feel like this last year has been successful? Or if you're sitting down with a prospective client saying, okay, well, if we're sitting down a year and looking back on this engagement, what has to happen in order for you to feel like this was successful? I've earned my keep here working with you. This question is a brilliant question. It comes from a guy named Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. But you have got to get really clear about what your long-term picture is, and then be able to work it backwards.
Can you give us an example response to that question for your business?
I can't. I'll tell you, when you ask clients or prospective clients this question, you're going to have like a 5-minute gab of nothing. Because most people haven't thought about this.
Right.
Everybody is so focused in the right now and getting things done right now, they haven't really thought about, well, wow, I hadn't thought about that. That question happens all the time. So for me right now, what this looks like is this. I want to get to $1 million. I'm going to get there, I think, before 3 years. But my goal is 3 years to be $1 million business. So in order for me to do that, number one, I need to really ramp up my pipeline for clients that are in large small business and medium-sized business sectors. Right? And so for me, I have to scale that up. Now, you have to understand, I'm going from a business that's been a lifestyle business for me because I have a 12 and a 13-year-old, and my job up to this point has been to raise them. They are now really self-sufficient. We talked about this a little bit earlier this morning, right? So I joke, my 12-year-old daughter is like a roommate versus a daughter at this point. So they're really self-sufficient right now. They're in middle school, getting ready to go into high school. So now I'm ready to kind of ramp the business back up, right? So what I've been doing up to this point has been great to this point, but it's not going to be what's going to get me to the $1 million mark. So I've got to shift and do something different. And so for me right now, I have revenue goals that I need to get to, and we're going to talk about this in one of the next hacks, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I have revenue goals I want to get to. I have lifestyle goals that I want to get to. I have some downtime things and priorities that I want to do, and they're all in my affirmations, and I'm going to get to that as one of our hacks here in just a second, so I'm going to get to it in a minute. But you need to get really clear on where you want to be, and I normally tell people 3 years. I've seen other people do big picture clarity stuff around like 10 years from now. 10 years from now, where do you want to be? I'll be really honest with you. Who the hell knows in 10 years where I'm going to be? Right? I'll be 55. My kids will be in college or out, and I know I'm not going to be living here. I'm probably going to be living back in Texas, but I don't know. 20 things could happen between now and the next 10 years. So I try to stick with 3 years because I think 3 years is manageable for me. And I think for most people, 3 years is a pretty good time. And then I divide it into thirds, and that comes out with my 1-year goals. And that's how I back it out. And don't overcomplicate it. You'll complicate it as you go along, but make it simple for now, and then you can always refine it later. But come up with your big picture where you want to be. That's going to give you then some stuff for our bonus hacks, which I'm going to get into in a minute. All right, this one, huge. This by far, this 5 and 6 are by far the 2 things that have made the biggest difference in my world in the last 6 months, hands down. So much so that I'm going to actually pass around the basket now, but just so you know, I have 4 things I'm going to raffle off. And for those of you online, I have 2 things for you. So keep that in mind. So one of them is The Morning Miracle by Hal Elrod. I'm going to give you the entrepreneur version of it. It's just like chicken soup for the soul in the sense that he has like one for network marketers, one for real estate agents, one for whatever. He's taken the base content and tweaked it for different types of people. But this book in particular is amazing. His story is fantastic. So I'm going to actually Amazon Prime, 2 of these out to whoever wins this one. And then the other 2 things I'm going to give out are free access to my 10 hacks course. So you guys will get that. Some of you guys will get that too. All right, morning ritual is one of the concepts in his book. It's not the whole thing, but it's one of the concepts in his book that is just absolutely transformative. And it has to do with setting up your morning for success. We had this conversation here a few minutes ago. Okay, so I'm not a morning person. And I think a lot of people are not morning people, right? And I totally appreciate that. I cannot tell you that I get up early every morning to do this. I could never say that and be honest, so I won't. But when I get up in the morning, if I'm not getting up early, like this morning I got up really early because I was going to be here and have a really long day. There's no way I was going to get a morning ritual in this morning unless I got up early. On other mornings when I don't have a lot of stuff stacked up in the morning, I'll sleep in later and then do this. But nonetheless, this is how you start your day. The days that I do this are significantly more calm, centered. I'm much clearer about what I'm doing through the day, and I don't get to the point where I'm like, what am I doing next? What do I need to take care of now? Or maybe I'll just go jump on my social media stuff and check things out. It's much more purposeful and it's much more efficient, and I get so much more done in a day when I do this. I'm telling you, transforms your world when you do this. The whole thing in the book, but this is one part of it, which is called savers, and it's the morning hour, the first morning that you wake up. So the first thing is you sit in silence. Usually each one of these is like 10 minutes long. So you sit in silence, just relax, just be awake, but just be present with yourself for a few minutes. Some people can do this for 10 minutes. Some people cannot do this for 10 minutes. But if you can, it's really great. The second one is called affirmations, and I have another hack on this next because this one is also huge. This comes into helping me get real clear about what it is I want to do, and what my goals are and my purpose is in life. And so you go through and you read your affirmations. The third one is V is for visualize. So this is actually something I learned when I was really young. I am you can't tell now, but at one point in time in my life, I was extremely athletic and very involved in all kinds of sports. I played volleyball in college at a Division I school, and yes, I was a setter because I'm 5'3". So, but my roommates were all like 6 feet and taller, or whatever. And I also swam very competitively as well, and I did all the long distance swims, like the mile swim, the 400 IM, 200 butterflies, if you're familiar with. Yeah, I did anything distance and endurance-wise I'm good with. God help me if it's a sprint, because I'm done. Won't happen. But visualization is something, especially for long distance swimmers, that's really, really important, because these are races that take sometimes 15, miles, like 15, 20, 25-minute deal for some people. Right? It's a long, boring, long event when you're swimming a mile. It goes on forever. But one of the things that we were taught really early on is visualizing that race from start to finish, because it's very strategic. You cannot start off in a sprint because you will die. You can't start off too slow because you're going to get really far behind and never be able to catch up. So you've got to be able to kind of pace your race in a way that gets you where you want to go. So visualization for your day is a great tool for how you want it to play out. Especially if you're having a day or you're in a period of time where things are really hectic for you and you've got a lot going on and you have 15 million things that are happening all at one time, which for me as an entrepreneur happens every day in my brain because I'm always coming up with new ideas. I have to sit down and say, okay, well today my priorities are X, Y, and Z, and this is kind of how I want my day to play out. And it just kind of gives you that roadmap for the day about where you're starting and where you want it to go and how you want it to end and how you're going to feel at the end of the day when you're done. So visualization is a really, really great tool. Exercise. So some people can get in a little bit of exercise in the morning. I do, as my own thing, yoga, and I have an app on my phone and on my laptop that I'll go online and I'll pick a 10 or 15 minute yoga routine just to kind of wake up and stretch.
What is that app?
Gaia, it's GAIA.com. It's a subscription. I think I pay $5 a month or something for, $3 a month, whatever, on my app. Literally, you can scroll through. I just look at the timestamps for the videos, and I pick one that's like 10 or 12 minutes over 15 minutes long. Nice. And I just get up and I stretch. It makes me feel so much better. Get your blood moving, but you're not like sweating up a storm, whatever, you know. Then I go usually get ready after I do that part, and then R is for reading. Take 10 minutes to read something that really motivates you, excites you, that you're interested in. This might be the time you pull out those emails from you have them printed out, or you look at the emails that you from the newsletters that you want to catch up on, or a book that you're interested in reading, or you can read Hal Elrod's book, Morning Miracle, in the morning. Just take like 10 minutes to read. Basically, if you did this every single morning, I think they calculated out that you'd get about 30 books read in a year, just by taking 10 minutes in the morning, on average, to read like 10 pages. You'd wind up cranking through a pretty huge number of books.
So sometimes in the morning I'll read like the headlines of the day, but that's, you're talking about more productive.
Yeah, I would do this offline. Because, and the reason I the reason I would say this is my own experience is, as soon as you open up the internet on anything, you're done. You're sucked in.
You're right.
An hour later, and there's your morning ritual. You know,
Right.
Trust me, I've done it a few times. So I just say, just pull out the book and read it. And I'm not one to print out a lot of stuff, but if I find something that I've been going through a bunch of industry reports lately that I've been really wanting to get into. So this is a time when I kind of do some of that. So reading is this part. Scribing is the last S, or journaling, or whatever you want to call it, but actually physically handwriting something. This is really important for a couple of reasons. Number one, your brain's going to remember better if you're handwriting something versus if you're typing it out. So scribing in a journal, just writing down what you want to do for the day, whatever, how you're feeling about stuff, priorities, ideas, whatever you want. Take a few minutes to scribe things out, and that's your SAVERS acronym. Again, 10 minutes in each one of these goes by really fast. This hour is done in no time flat. And what I do is I set my alarm on my phone for 10 minutes, and I do, and when I was first getting started in this, just to get myself in the ritual, and I literally would move from one thing to the next on my phone. When the timer stopped, it would reset, and I'd move on to the next thing. That's how I got to train myself. Now, you can tweak this, right? So let's say you're only comfortable really sitting in silence for like 2 minutes, but you want to get more time in exercise in the morning, you want to go for a run or whatever, then just adjust. Doing visualization does not always take 10 minutes. Sometimes it's just really short. Take a few minutes from that and just throw it into something else. If you want to read something a little bit longer, to adjust it's not like a rigid thing. But I did the 10-minute piece just to get myself in the habit of doing it in the morning, and then I've adjusted it. And every morning looks a little different, but it's basically the same concept.
And how long have you been doing it?
4 months. Pretty much every day. Except for the days when soccer starts on the weekends at 7, in which case, no, I'm rolling out at 6:30. And that's about it.
How do you feel about bundling? Because I would take exercise and the 3 above that and go for a run and be able to do all of those.
Yeah, and some people can. It's not my concept, it's your concept. You really have to make this your own thing. It's not like like I said, you have to kind of customize this to make it work for you. And for me, I can't do the same thing every single day. It drives me crazy. So I have to constantly mix things up. So do what works for you. But get them all in, and you can do them in different orders. You can do exercise first and then do some of your other stuff, whatever. Mix and match it. But I would just say, do it all before you start your day. Don't check your email before you do this. Do not roll over in your bed and start flipping through your email. Do this first. Get this part done first.
My form of silence is 10 minutes of mindful meditation, and then I go right into scribing, and it really helps.
Yeah,
What
and
are
I'm
you
very
scribing, Kevin? What are you scribing?
My plan for the day.
Plan for the day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I actually do this first, and my scribing is actually journaling. It's like, it just has nothing to do with my day and my schedule. It has everything to do with, the crazy in my world and what I'm trying to
Oh,
noodle
and then
through
I
the
would
time.
post
Yep.
meditation thoughts, personal
Yeah.
thoughts I have. That would be a separate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But if you want to use your scribing time to start out your day too, you can totally do that. I have a different routine for planning out my day that is focused more on Brendan Burchard. If you all know him, he's a productivity expert. He has some great morning ritual and planning things, and I use his methodology for my days. We're not getting into that of Hal Elrod's examples, so you can kind of see how it's a little less hokey than you might think. You cannot read these. He has a whole page of these, by the way. I have mine as well, that are totally different than this, but he has some great concepts. So he has his top line goals, Because I'm going to prioritize. I'm not going to read all this, by the way. I'll read just a couple, just so you can get a sense. So top goals is I'll prioritize my tasks each day and focus only on those that achieve my top 3 to 5 goals this year. Number 1, write and publish the Miracle Morning. Number 2, add value daily or weekly to my coaching clients and online communities. And number 3, limit my speeches to 36 total. So that's his top line goals. This is from 2012, by the way. He has one on rest and relaxation. It says taking regularly scheduled periods of R&R are crucial to my happiness, health, and success. Trips and vacations provide me with new perspective and ideas by removing me from my day-to-day routine and environment and allow me to share carefree timelessness with Sophie and Ursula, his wife and daughter. And then there's one about overcoming fear and worry down here at the bottom. And again, I just copied and pasted this. He actually has this up on his website. It's a free PDF you can download. LL morningmiracle.com. Yeah, morningmiracle.com. I'm sorry, miraclemorning.com. I always get that backwards. miraclemorning.com. Anyway, so you can go to his website, put in your email, and you'll get his newsletter. And then, actually, his emails are really good, so it's another one of the ones I keep looking at. But anyway, you can download this PDF of his samples and take a look at it. He has other things up there too, but this is a really great one. And so what I did is I literally took his topics and wrote my own affirmations, and I put it in Evernote. We're going to talk about that as a tool here in a second. And so I actually have them on my phone as a picture, so I don't have to go online to look at it every day, and it's just on my phone, and I'll read through them. Best thing about that is it's amazing how much your brain starts wiring towards your affirmations when you write them down and you're reviewing them every single day. Crazy how it kind of reprograms your brain, and that's part of his conversation around this, is that it really does help quite a bit. All right, hack number 7, designing your days. Again, this is, for me, a whole module in my online course, because there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle. But just to give you some simple hacks, something you can do really quickly, here's what you want to do. After you do your morning miracle in the morning, you need to start thinking about the 3 things you absolutely want to get accomplished in your day. Pick 3 and no more than 3. If you pick 6, 7, 8, I guarantee you're not going to get them all done. This isn't a to-do list. This is 3 things that you personally want to get done in order to advance your agenda for the day. So I want to get, a blog post written on blah blah topic. I want to get, I need to prep for a client meeting coming up, on Friday. I need to, I'm working on an online course, and actually I'm working on a new online course on workplace of the future, and I want to get the course outlined today. All right, so those are the 3 things I need to get done today in order to advance my agenda for my business going forward. It's not, Carla needs to get back to me on blah, or I need to make this phone call or whatever. It's not that stuff, because that's just the stuff that you're going to get done. So my first things I do in the day are these 3 items. My most productive time for me during the day is the morning. If I can get stuff done by, and here's the kicker for me, whenever I eat lunch, I'm done. I've learned that. I can eat breakfast in the morning and I'm fine all morning, but as soon as I eat lunch, my afternoon, I'm toast. So I will push my lunch off as long as I can until I get hungry, and then I know after that's done, I'm finished. So I have until I get hungry at lunchtime to get my 3 tasks accomplished, and that's just because I know how I work, right? You have to sort this out for yourself. If you're a morning person, you're going to want to get your 3 tasks accomplished in the morning. That's when you get your best work done. And I block off that time. My admin assistant that helps me, my virtual assistant, does not block things off and schedule stuff in the morning unless we have talked about it and I have made the decision to do that. She will never go in and add a morning meeting to my calendar. And so I'm the one that my morning is my morning. My afternoon is when I'm spending in team meetings or I'm spending, working on other kinds of things. Yes, there are exceptions to this. I do all-day meetings with some clients where I start at 8 in the morning, so that's an exception to the rule. But on days when I'm not doing that kind of stuff, my 3 tasks get accomplished first thing in the morning. That way I know I'm moving the ball forward.
What advice do you have for figuring out what the heck that is in the first place? The 3 things that you need to accomplish when you're new to a thing. Like when you first started your business in 2001, how did you even know what things that you needed to focus on to move towards?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
when you're starting, it's all about generating money.
Yeah.
Right? So everything I did, if it wasn't revenue generating or leading up to revenue generation, I was not doing it. And I was not wasting time watching TV, binge watching television shows.
Come on.
I know, seriously. I've only done that once recently, and that was for reasons way beyond my control. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it's just, I follow Gary Vaynerchuk, like, religiously. If you don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, he's crazy, but the guy is brilliant at the same time. If you go onto our Facebook page, I have a whole bunch of videos from him, but he's don't try to spell his last name. Just look him up as Gary V, V-E-E. So Gary V, you can Google search him. He's on every social media platform. His company is called VaynerMedia, and he's grown it to a 700-person company, PR firm company, media company. He also owns Vayner Sports and a whole bunch of other things. But he started off as a wine blogger, a vlogger. His father owned a liquor store in New York City. And when he took it over, he grew it from a $3 million business to a $60 million business, almost solely from doing video blogs every week on wine tasting. Yeah, he was very early on in the game. He's 40 years old, he's a spitfire, has a mouth like a sailor, awesome information. So you gotta look through that part, but otherwise, awesome stuff. And he talks about this whole idea of hustle. That's his mantra. It's all about the hustle. And when you're first starting your business, it is not about wasting your time, energy, or money on things that are not going to generate revenue for you. So anything you can do to generate revenue is what you need to do when you're first getting started. And I would balance out, by the way, at this point in time, the energy and effort you're spending going to events. You should go to some things, but you need to make sure they're high value things you're going to, and balance that out with developing knowledge, thought leadership in social media around your topic, and giving away that information, and being very comfortable with giving it away for free, or super low cost, but giving it away to generate buzz and whatnot about what you're doing. The second part of this is, by the way, setting aside open time to put out fires and take care of clients. So every single day, if part of what you do is manage teams of people or individuals or clients, and it's a daily big business for you, you've got to make sure you're setting aside time for that too. It may be that you've got to mix and match your days, so you do some of your stuff early in the morning on your 3 tasks, and then you spend some time in the late morning focusing on client stuff, and you get back to it in the afternoon, and back and forth, whatever you got to do. Again, this is where you have to insert your own preferences and how you work and what you're doing. But this is ultimately designing your days and putting them on your calendar, and then working your calendar is really, really important. Even if it's just chunks of time. All right, so number 8, organizing your info. So I have put up here some of my favorites that I use, and the 3 big ones for me are up top. So Evernote. If you're not familiar with Evernote, you can use the free version of this app for, this is the first year I've been using it since they started, which was a long time ago. This is the first year I'm ever paying for the subscription for it, and that's only because I've gotten really big into taking a lot of pictures of stuff and saving it in Evernote. Evernote, when you first get it, you're like, okay, I don't exactly understand what to do with this. Let me just tell you this. Put everything in Evernote. Pictures, if you have some documents, PDFs, if you're saving something, you can get the web clipper for your browser, and if you see a website that you want to go to or has great information or whatever, you can clip it and it will save right into Evernote. You can tag, put them in notebooks or folders, and in it you categorize things. The coolest thing you can do is you can take a picture, and let's just say, I always use a wine label example because I drink a lot of wine. So you have a wine label bottle and you love this wine. You can snap a picture of it and save it into Evernote. And let's say it was a Chardonnay or whatever. You can go into the search in Evernote and click Chardonnay, and it'll pop everything up from your Evernote account. Pictures, PDFs, websites you've clipped, anything. Handwritten notes that you've snapped a picture of and saved in Evernote. We'll find the word Chardonnay and we'll pull it up for you. brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant, right? So for human capital stuff, I have things on hiring strategy, I have things on productivity, I have things on like stats. I see a blog post that's got a really cool graphic in it that I want to snap. I'll snap a picture of it, save it in Evernote, and tag it, whatever tag I want to use. And it's not just searching your tags, it's literally searching the words in the picture, which is the coolest piece of this. Your handwriting, if it's not like totally doctor handwriting, I mean, as long as it's relatively legible, it will pick it up and it will deliver to you in your search feature that topic. So if I'm doing research on a specific topic, anything I have, I'll come up with a tag or I'll put it in a notebook, and everything will be right there organized for you when you need it. It's brilliant.
So question, is it free then until you get a certain size you want to save?
Yeah, it is. But it's like a gig. It's like, or a couple. It's huge. Whatever. Like I said, it wasn't until this year that I've ever blown out the bandwidth on that, or the account size.
Yeah, I use it all the time. I use
Do you?
it to keep track of my personal items as well as business notes.
Yeah, I do with all mine. Yeah.
So the free version gives you 2 devices. So you have the desktop version
Yeah.
Can do that.
and your mobile
I just never knew
device.
to use it.
If you want to have multiple devices, you do have to start paying for this.
Yeah. And yeah, so the cool thing is it syncs across multiple devices. So I have it on my phone, I have it on my laptop, and I have it on my desktop. These are Mac devices. My desktop is a PC.
It's your own personal
It's a cloud. Yeah. Now, that's for all my note take things. All right. I use OneDrive. By the way, since Microsoft is a partner, right? So yeah. So I use Office 365. If you're not familiar with it, it's $99 a year for the subscription for 5 people. You have access to all of the entire Microsoft Office suite and all the updates as they go along. Best $99 I spend a year. It has Outlook, everything on it, and you get like a terabyte. I don't know, some ridiculous amount of money of OneDrive storage included in that, plus Skype and all kinds of other things. Right, and so I use OneDrive again. I don't even use the hard drive on my computers for storage of anything. It all goes up into OneDrive, and again, it synchronizes across my desktop, my laptop, and my phone, so I can get any document I want. I have a personal account and my work. I have a personal folder and a work folder in my account. I've never come close to using all the storage, and trust me, I have videos, all my videos. I have all my photos. I have probably 4,000. I think my music file is now about 4,000 or 5,000 songs. It's just huge, and it has plenty of storage.
So I think that's part of the whole Microsoft subscription, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I do have a paying subscription. Then do I not need to rely on Dropbox as much if I use that?
Dropbox is okay if you're going to share with other people documents. So for you and what you do, you may do that where you're letting clients get access to files. I don't do that.
You can share on OneDrive though,
Yeah.
and it generates a link.
Oh, okay.
Or a
Cool.
link
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
can then send to them and make it editable or not
Yeah.
editable. So
I
we
won't
use it
do
a lot
that 'cause
just
I
to
have-
share a
yeah.
readable file without
Yeah. Massively proprietary stuff.
PDFs and stuff. You just send the link.
If I'm going to do that, I tend to use Google.
You can use Google.
Google Docs for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's options. It is like Dropbox though. It can be like Dropbox, but it is literally my storage for every single thing I do, and I love it. So those are my 3. Close. I didn't talk about Close. So Close is kind of a hybrid customer relationship management, email management, calendar management tool. And the cool thing about it is, and it syncs again across your phones and all your devices. It'll suck in all your contacts into Close. Every time you send an email back and forth, it'll tag it the people that are in it. It'll, if you schedule an appointment with anybody, it'll tag them in it. So when I pull up Angela's record, it's going to show me all the interactions Angela and I have ever had. And the cool thing is, I can tell it, I want to stay in contact with Angela every 30 days, or every 15 days, or every 60 days, or whatever. And it'll ping me in a briefing, a closed briefing every morning of the people that I need to contact that I've said I wanted to get in touch with.
Wow.
Across the really.
Huh?
Across devices.
Yeah, across devices. Yep. Every morning you get a morning briefing, and I think there's a 30-day free trial, and then the monthly fee is like pretty minimal. And whatever it is, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in on that because it was worth it. I should have looked that up, and I can look after it, but I think I pay for it now. But honestly, it's on an automatic
Inbox
thing.
and
So
contact manager's free, and then the
There you go.
relationship one's $13 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, $13.33 or $19.99.
Yeah. On how you do it. Yeah, there you go.
That's
So you can
no-brainer.
do the free one. Start off with the free
Yeah.
one. If you like it and it works for you, then upgrade. If it doesn't, then don't. But I love it because I think it works really well. Oh, the other thing it does that's really awesome too is it tells me when somebody opens my email. Pings me. So here's what's really important about that. So I have a client, I've got to schedule something, I have no idea if they've looked at my email. Or I have a prospect, I followed up with them, I have no clue if they ever read the email. It'll at least send me a little flag on my screen saying, oh yeah, so-and-so opened up your email. So at least I know that it's going. And 9 times out of 10 what will happen is I know that sometime later today I'm going to be probably getting a response to that, especially if I see it open up a couple times. So it just helps me kind of manage my time. I don't really care if somebody opens my email or not. I'm still going to follow up with them if I don't hear from them, but nonetheless, it kind of just gives me the flag that, oh yeah, they got it. So I can let that go out of my head and move on to something else.
So does close, I mean, does it let the other person that you sent the email know that you're monitoring whether they're opening
No.
it or not? Like on Microsoft, that's some feature.
Yeah.
They,
No, it doesn't.
That's
Yeah,
great.
no.
That's great.
No, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Because
I mean,
and you have to have the right mindset in doing that, right? It's like I'm not trying to stalk people. I just want to know from a productivity perspective if they got it, so if I need to follow up with them or not.
completely agree.
If you don't open, I don't care.
I just
but-
don't want to be a burden to someone's side,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Saying, oh, I opened an email and I click, send a
Yeah.
response back.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, and I would never send somebody an email saying, oh yeah, I saw that you opened my email. Nobody would, but nonetheless, yeah. But so I love Close for that reason. The other thing that's really cool about Close that you can do is you can actually send one email to multiple people, and instead of having to say, hey Angela, hey Ashley, hey blah blah blah, hey blah blah blah, and just like the whole name, you can actually just put all the email addresses up top, and it will customize. It'll just there's a little flag you can click, and it'll just send the email to everybody, but it'll say. Your email will say, hi Angela, and yours will say, hi Ashley, and so you're not like doing this string of 50 people's names. We're having to do a generic. Hey everybody. Yeah, kind of a thing. So I like that part too, is kind of a cool little feature. There's a ton of other cool features in it, so I would suggest going in and playing around. I did the quick little learn about it video. It took me like 10 minutes to go through, and it really does give you some great tips and productivity things, so that's cool. All right, so so those are my 3 primary ones I use every single day, multiple times every single day. Office 365 I already told you about. I use Infusionsoft for email campaigning. It is overkill for most people. I'm just telling you that right now. I use it for a lot of other reasons. It integrates with Kajabi, which is my course delivery tool that I use for online courses. And Angela and their crew uses it too, and it's an awesome tool. If you're interested in creating knowledge products and selling courses online and putting them out there, this is the best deal going, and I can give you a really great deal on this. So we can chat afterwards about this, but it's awesome. It's like $130 a month. No transaction fees, no credit card processing fees, but they do all the processing for you, and it's brilliant. It's all video based. You can do it with your smartphone on a stand. It's super, super easy to do. View has great messy piles all over my office, right? I know where everything is. God forbid anybody come in and clean it. But at the same time, there are days and times when I get so overwhelmed with everything going on. I walk in my office and I'm like, oh God, I gotta clean it now. Before I can do anything, I have to have a clean space. Cleaning your space is also a really kind of feng shui-ish kind of thing, which I do think is pretty true in that when you clear out your space and you have kind of a blank canvas to work from or a clean canvas to work from, your creativity can spike much easier than if you have chaos. Your brain, when you have a really chaotic space, is not only focusing on what you're trying to do, but all the other peripheral things around it. So when you clear off your space, this is a really, really important one. So even though it's kind of a simple hack, and again, this is kind of a low-hanging fruit, one, this one is really important. And really trying to stay focused on clearing your clutter so you can find things more easily and you have a clean canvas to work from is really important.
James can't even come into my office.
Yeah.
Because it freaks him out.
Yeah.
Go to your office.
Yeah. But his space, I think I've seen his space, like pictures of like his space is like all nice and organized.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm not quite like that, but yeah, I can get there pretty fast. All right, hack number 10. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this because this is another really great tool. Clarity breaks are a concept that we teach in our entrepreneurial operating system. A guy named Gino Wickman has created this, and it's a really brilliant concept. A clarity break is something that you need to schedule on a regular basis. So I schedule mine for about once every 2 weeks. Some people need to do it every week. Some people need to do it just once a month. Some people can get away with doing it less than that. But the concept is that you need to literally unplug from everything electronic, get out of the internet, get off, off of your devices, and go off to a space to get clarity around what you're trying to do. Take paper, pen, whatever you want. I have a art notebook that I take with me and some colored pens, and I go off to Algonquian Park, which is not far from where I am, off of 7. Go down by the river, and I just hang out. And sometimes it'll just be for an hour or two. Sometimes it'll be a half day. It just kind of depends on what I need to get done. The whole purpose is to really find a spot that inspires you and brain dump everything out on paper. Literally everything. Don't filter it. Don't do anything. Just put it out on paper. This will then again help you prioritize those things that are really the most important. I find that when I get stuck in my world, like I have so much going on, I don't even know what to do next, that if I take like an hour or two to go do a clarity break, and I get some fresh air, and I get outside, and I get the blank piece of paper, and I just start writing things down, things kind of shake loose, and it helps to kind of give me that clarity again about what I need to prioritize. I've had several executives really push back on me on this, and then, every time we meet, they're like stressing out, like 10 ways to Sunday, and I'm like, just take a clarity break. Just go away, shut everything down for a couple hours, tell people you're gonna go work on some stuff, and just check out for a couple hours and get it done. And every one of them has come back after the first time going, oh my God, I gotta do this more often. Because it really is, it's a really, really brilliant tool. Simple, but really, really great. So I highly recommend taking clarity breaks as often as you can in order to just give yourself that space to clear out your mind's clutter, put it out on paper, and then prioritize yourself as you need to.
So the whole point of this, other than taking the time aside, is the pen and paper component, right?
Yes.
Because I can go do 9 holes of golf and kind of take clarity.
Yeah.
But that's not the same.
That's just a break.
That's just a break.
Yeah. Playing golf,
Sure.
that's a break. Like everybody needs to go to the beach, that's a break. The clarity break is you're very intentionally doing a brain dump, getting everything out on paper.
It's in your head.
Yeah. And then what you'll do is it's not either at the end of that and you'll know when you're done with this, because when you start doing your brain dump and you're putting things out there, you're gonna eventually you're gonna start slowing down. You're like, okay, I think I got it all out. And then just go through and prioritize. I'm big on mind mapping, so I do like circles and boxes and all kinds of stuff. I'll go through and highlight the ones that I know I need to focus on. Like right now, this week, I gotta focus on this. I wanna do this next week, this next month, this goes with that, whatever, and I'll just kind of prioritize my mind map and then I'll move. But, and I'll be honest with you, I've gotten to a point in my business right now now that I'm making this shift from lifestyle business to like bigger business, when I hit that like corner, I was having to take clarity breaks almost every day just because I was so like, okay, well, that's what I used to do, and I need to stop doing that, and I need to figure out what I need to do to go forward and grow the business. And so those clarity breaks, sometimes you're going to need to take them more frequently, and sometimes you can space it out.
So I do this, but then my papers get like the clutter thing. So would you then take a picture and put it in your Evernote? I mean, because I would do that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, take a picture, snap it in Evernote, and throw it away.
Okay. Okay.
No,
Because
I
I was
don't
like, I would lose the piece of paper and be like, I had these
Yeah.
great ideas. So where did they go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can
Yeah.
scan it.
Or scan
I'm
it,
gonna
yeah.
scan this and then throw it away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paper,
exactly.
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paper.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm all about photos, snapping it or scanning it, whatever you do, and then toss it.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's the clarity break. All right, so questions about any of these 10? I hope everybody's still online with us. We haven't forgot about you. Are we good on the 10? Yes. All right. All right, so I'm going to quickly go through the last 2 here. All right, so these 2 bonuses are ones that are full modules that come in our big trigger productivity seminar. These are things that take a lot more time to sort out and actually implement, but I think they're really important because whether or not you're a one-person solo shop or you're a 700-person company or anything in between, creating a weekly meeting, a lot of us probably do this with our teams anyway, but even if you're a one-person shop, having a weekly meeting is really important. It does a couple things for you. So if you take your big picture strategy for the year, you cut it down to quarters, what you need to get done for the quarter, you cut it down to what you need to do for the month, then you cut it down to what you need to do for the week in order to build up. Okay, so you go big picture and work it down. The weekly meeting is the time when you need to sit down with you, yourself, and you all together, or you and your team to really move the ball forward on the agenda items that you've got. Number one, it's a way for you to, if you're running a team, it's a way for you to articulate to your team what your priorities are for the week so that they know where you're focused, for them to ask you questions and get feedback on things they need to get your input on so that it clears out your time to focus on what you need to focus on. Right? So a couple of really key things. You need to start at the same time, the same day, with the same agenda every week. You need to review the previous week's accomplishments, even if it's not all of them. You at least need to start off with some really nice, positive things about what's happened last week that worked really, really well. You need to set the coming week's priorities. You need to schedule then on your own calendar your free time first. And when I mean free time, that's non-working time. That goes first on your calendar, by the way, every week, not last, which is what most people do. And they get to the end of the week and they're like, I've had no free time this week. You need to schedule your free time first, then your revenue producing time, and then kind of what I call buffer days, or the kind of the time in between that might be some income producing and some admin type days or time. But you need to schedule your free time first.
Is that your saver, or is that just free time for other
Saturdays
stuff?
and Sundays are my free time. So I'm divorced, my kids split their time. So when my kids are with me, it's all free time. They get off of school at 2:15. I pick them up at 2:15, and the rest of the day is my time until they go to bed at 9. And then from 9 to midnight, I'll do some other work or whatever I need to do. But I do not do anything between like 2 o'clock and 9 o'clock on those days. So that's my free time on my calendar. Weekends with my kids, free time. I stay really, really intensely focused on them when I have them, and then when I don't, I spend my time very, very focused on what I'm doing, or frankly, on me. So schedule your free time first, and then back everything else out from that. That is, by the way, not a Gary Vaynerchuk recommendation, because that man works like every single day, but 4 hours at night when he sleeps. I can't do that. Yeah, that's not how I coach and work with my executives, but that is one model. Schedule productivity blocks. Again, this is another thing. This actually comes from Brendan Bouchard. In the morning, I will schedule 60 or 90-minute blocks of time where I'm going to get my 3 big things done in a day. I will work on one for maybe, let's say, 60 minutes and then take a break. My attention span, when I get really focused on the things I love, 60 minutes is not nearly long enough. I can really crank out a lot of stuff in 90, so I found for me 90 minutes is the right length of time. So if I have something short, then I'll just schedule 60, I'll take a 10 or 15 minute break, and then I'll do a 90, or I'll do a 90 and a 10 minute break, or 15 minute break, and then a 60 and a 60, or however I work out my day. But for me, that's what works. Some people can only do 45 minutes at a time. Totally cool. Or 50 minutes at a time and a 10 minute break, however you want to do it. But just figure out what works best for you and schedule those on your calendar and what you're going to do during that break, during that block. Mm-hmm.
I read recently that people are most productive in 90-minute increments. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's across the board or ever certain.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've heard both. I mean, I've heard like there's an app called Zomato, and that whole process is like 15-minute work blocks and 10-minute breaks. Mm-hmm. And there's a free app you can use, and it's a timer, and it'll count down your 50 minutes, and then it'll ping, and then it'll give you 10 minutes, and it'll ping, and then you get back to work. I found the 50 minutes too short because my 3 priorities are things I'm really excited and passionate about, and I needed more. I was like just getting in my groove at that point. But here's the thing about work blocks that's really important that I really want to mention. When you're in a work block, you need to turn off the internet. You need to stay focused. And so I turn off my email notifications. I put my phone on airplane mode or whatever I need to do so that I can work on what I need to work on. When you get an email pop up on your window and you go and read it, it can take you anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes to get your brain off of that topic and back focus on what you're wanting to do in full. And you've just now blown, 15, 20 minutes of your time, 25 minutes of your time. Your brain is like not focused on what you want to have happen. So that's a really important piece. And the last one is leaving open time for firefighting. Whenever I start new client projects and I have to get my team ramped up, I give myself a lot more of this open space time to help my team get ramped up. Once they're up and running and they're going, they're rocking and rolling, I can go back to spending more time on my stuff and a little bit less time on the firefighting piece. Or if I have a client that has a particularly challenging issue, I know in my week I need to give them more time and set aside more time and scale it. So it's not a set thing, it's a scaling thing based on what you need. Number 2, quarterly review and planning. So this again takes your big picture, 3-year, 1 year, then get it down to your quarters. Same kind of concept as your weekly planning. Put it on your calendar at the beginning of the year and protect your time. I always recommend doing it the last week of the quarter. So you're going to review the past quarter's activities and then look forward to the next quarter and get it planned. So reviewing your priorities, your 1-year goals, what you hit, what you didn't last quarter, what you need to focus on for this coming quarter. Make sure you're aligning to your annual goals. And again, you're going to review your previous quarter's activities, create upcoming quarterly goals, and schedule your major items and your projects on your calendar at that point. That'll then give you guidance on your weekly meetings, your monthly and your weekly stuff. Again, we go into a lot more detail in the course about this, but this is kind of the summary of it. So again, whether or not you're a 1-person shop, you're a 50,000 person shop, whatever the thing is, this is really important, especially looking at metrics and numbers and tracking some numbers and metrics towards some of the things you're trying to do. I'm really big right now. I'm doing a lot of stuff in social media, so I'm looking at right now, not necessarily how many people are looking at stuff, because that I don't really care about just yet. I want to make sure that number 1, I'm super consistent in my posting of stuff, and I'm doing it on a regular basis, that I'm providing high value content that people would normally pay for, and I'm putting it up online because I want people to understand that I'm all about value and providing you what you need first. And so those for me are metrics that I'm looking at right now. I'll get to the point of looking at how many hits I got and this, that, and the other later. But right now for me, it's about setting the good habits of making sure I'm posting regularly, which for me is a really hard thing to do because
I'm trying to do that like in the beginning of the month, the beginning of the week.
I'm doing that.
More ad hoc
Right now it's kind of ad hoc, but I am setting aside a time on my calendar every week. It's just not consistent of when it is, but I'm trying to make sure every week I've got some time set aside to make sure I've got things in the pipeline.
I'm trying not to do too far out because I'm trying to make the content timely, and I know that you do that well.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So,
So
all right.
how much time does it take to do that piece, the
The quarterly?
quarterly review and planning? About how much time to do all of these?
So the quarterly review, so with my clients, I spend a whole day doing that because they're bigger organizations and I'm working with an executive team and we're having to do a lot more in-depth of stuff. For me, for my business, I'll spend maybe 3 hours. I'll usually set aside because I know what I'm looking for and I've got it down to a science now. So that's just kind of what I do. I'm also tracking things along the way in my weekly meetings. So I have metrics I'm looking for on a weekly basis as well. So I can crank through my quarterlies pretty fast.
We do our 90-day planning session.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
It's 3 hours. It's a morning, so dedicate like a morning or half day.
Yeah.
You should be able to
For a
knock it
single
out.
person?
Yeah.
Yeah, even a relatively small team. I mean, it doesn't take that long to go through. When you get to about, then the question then becomes like, at what point in time, who all do you involve in that process, and who you don't? I do them with my clients with their executive team, which is usually like 5 to 7-ish people, and those I do all day. It's an all-day thing, but that's because we're also doing a lot of strategic planning. We're fixing problems, we're addressing issues, and that kind of stuff too. So, any other questions? Yeah. Either way. Yeah, it's from my doc, yeah.
Evernote, I know that they make like Evernote journals where it's specifically designed for your handwriting to take a picture that it will notice your handwriting. But I didn't realize that you could take pictures of anything and it could search.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary to have those journals.
Not necessary. Yeah. You can do it kind of however you want.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you have like a specific question you ask yourself at the end of the day that triggers, have I met the things that I wanted to do to be productive? Kind of, you know what I mean?
You can't pour her glass of wine unless you
like,
Let
what
me
have
tell you,
I
I'd be
done?
so productive if that was the measure every day.
What have I done?
Never mind.
Like, what have I failed at today? So learn
No.
from that, or what have I done to be brave today? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
little things. Like, do you have a specific
No,
question?
and here's why I don't do that. I have enough people beating down on my world, and I think all of us kind of do, that want things from you all the time. And it comes to that number 2 one, which is protecting your inbound messaging. The last thing and trust me, there is no critic, bigger critic of me than me. Like I have queened that one. Like I'm good on that. And I've really stopped that. I've really just stopped doing it. Running a business, or running a team, being an executive in an organization is not a sprint. Again, it's all about endurance, and I'm all about that. It's about the long haul, right? There are never going to be perfect days every single day, and I'm not even sure I know what a perfect day would really look like in my world, because last minute things come up all the time. So I'm not going to get into this whole thing about beating myself up over a bad call with a client, or this, that, or the other didn't happen, or I didn't get that blog post written today, or whatever. Because if I did that, I'd be putting myself in the gutter every single night and drinking wine for different reasons at that point, right? So don't do that to yourself. Honestly, be enormously forgiving of yourself, because there's plenty of stuff in this world that's hard. Don't make working hard for yourself. And if it's hard for you, I would almost suggest that maybe you're not in the right workspace. You're not in the right place to working or whatever. Because really, and again, this comes back to my whole human capital thing, I want people to love what they do. Like, love it. I love what I do. I love helping people. I love helping executives. I love helping people grow their business, helping people really get into their unique ability and focus on that and do it all the time in their work.
And I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean, is there a good question that you ask yourself that says, did I do the things that I set out to do today? Like, what did I do today to make more money, if that's what I want to do? Like, is there...
some of the things that Brendon Bouchard does, he actually has you rate certain aspects of your day, like whether or not you did stuff and you think you did it well, like on a 1 to 10 scale. And if you want to get into that, that's great. But then the question then becomes, okay, well, what's good enough? Is it 5 out of 10? Is it 6 out of 10? Is it 8 out of 10?
Well, if you didn't do the top 3 in the morning, like you said, would you have said, oh, okay, tomorrow I'm going to take the one from today that I didn't do and move it over? I mean, is it just...
Yeah, okay, so again, in total reality, there are days when I don't get all 3 of my things done, and I may not even get 1 done. Because something blew up. My daughter decides she's sick, and she's not going to school today. I'm not going to have a super productive day. Because that girl never sits still.
Or maybe you got a new client, so you spent it, and it was a good thing that you didn't get those things done,
Yeah, but the other thing is I set my day's agenda that day, so I know what's coming. And if something comes up that I'm not expecting, yay. I mean, I guess, hopefully it's a good thing. And if it's not, then it's fine. My job as an executive is to firefight and to fix the problems or help fix the problems. So, I mean, I just don't spend a huge amount of time on a daily basis focused on what I did and didn't get done. Either I got it done or I didn't get it done, and there's no value judgment about that. I mean,
So just reprioritize to the next
day. And then oftentimes I will tell myself, number one, I underestimated how much time it was going to take to do something. It's more complicated than I thought it was going to be, or I needed to involve other people that I wasn't expecting to have to involve, or I need more information. For me, that's usually what it is I need to get some more feedback and input on some things before I move forward on it. Because once I make a decision, I'm done. Like, I'm in, all in. So there's just other reasons why you might, you may or may not get your big 3 done. If I go more than like 3 days where I haven't gotten like Monday's 3 things done, then I will take a clarity break. Because something's not right that I haven't been able to do that. Maybe I'm tired, maybe I'm just mentally like, I just need to give myself a rest. or whatever. But I won't let myself go more than like 2, maybe 3 days if I haven't gotten those priorities hit. I may just not be motivated to do them, and I need to delegate them out. I'm finding that for me is the bigger issue. I've picked things on my list that I hate doing, and so I just push them off because I don't want to do it. I'm better off just getting somebody else to do it.
Well, so maybe that's the question.
Yeah.
That you ask yourself, if you didn't get it done, is this something someone else could do? And then,
How much is it gonna cost?
Yeah.
To get somebody else
That's
to
a
do it?
whole other meeting.
And outsourcing stuff, is a really big one. All right, 2 things really quickly, and then I'm gonna do this drawing. So, just so you understand, so productivity again has been a big thing. It's been kind of this side thing for my business for a while, but I have two things. I have this 10 hacks program. I kind of gave you the high level of it, but I have this online. There's a link there for it. I'm only charging $49 for it. It's like almost pretty much like, it's just what it costs me to do the course. Really, I'm not making money off of it. If you're interested in that, you can. I'm going to do drawings for 2 people to give you that for free. So I'm going to do that in a second. And all of you online, I'm going to do it for 1 of you, so hold on. And actually, let me just say this for anybody that's online watching right now. If in the comments below, you'll write out for me just like your 1 hack that you want to do this week. Put it in there, and then I'll take all those tonight, and I'll pick a winner out of that. I'll put all the names in a hat and draw them out, and I'll videotape it so I'm not cheating. So make sure you do that in the comments below. If you guys have anybody here that you think wants to watch this, they can go on the YouTube channel, watch it today, and if they comment below, then I'll put them in the drawing tonight, because I'm not going to get back in the office until probably like 6 or so.
Remind us how to find the YouTube channel.
I'll flip back to the front,
okay.
the front link in just a second. The 10 hacks is the 10 hacks. There's a free 5 hacks on my website you can grab at the top in the top banner. But I'm running a personal productivity seminar online. I'm going to give chamber members a discount. Your handout has this link and has the code that you can put in to get a $50 discount on it. So if you want to do that, that's the link. It's in your handouts, and the code is in your handouts as well. That's going to start July 17th. It's going to be a 6-module, 1 a week thing. You can self-pace it yourself. There's going to be live pieces to it. There's going to be a Facebook group, that kind of thing. This is not the 10 hacks, okay? This is those 2 bonuses plus 4 others in great detail about how you get yourself organized and sorted out and whatnot. It's a lot of the stuff that I do for the executives in bigger companies, and it's just scaled down on a smaller scale. And then we do 1-day intensives, which isn't necessarily something we need to focus on here. The other thing you might be interested in is you can go on the website down here and check out our unique ability assessment. This is a Colby Wisdom tool that I use. I've been using it since 2004. It's brilliant. It identifies your unique strengths, and then I can help you sort out how to build a team around you using those as well. So it's a great tool. All right, my contact information, again, you have this all on the back page, so you all don't need this right now. Let me sort all the way back to the beginning real quick. And are there any last questions, Corey?
Learning events is my question.
Mm-hmm.
I could be in one of these things like every week because I just love it. But
Every
I
2
know
weeks
it's a huge chunk of time,
Yeah.
and it does kind of impact how the rest of my day flows. So
Yeah.
What would you recommend? I mean, I'm still new, so I do need to learn a lot of
Yeah.
business stuff. So is there a limit? You can kind of get bogged down in information.
Yeah, I would spend your time right now focusing on getting clear about your 1-year goals, your 3-year and your 1-year goals, right? And then, okay, if your 1-year goals have to deal with growing your business and whatever, I would spend education time on learning, closing the gap on anything that you're not comfortable with.
Okay.
Marketing, social media. What kind of business do you do?
Real estate.
Okay, real estate. So, I would be focusing on real estate courses that talk about marketing, bringing in new clients, how to get out there and meet prospective sellers and buyers.
What makes her unique? What makes her unique?
Yeah, what makes you
Focus on-
unique?
Because real estate's a
Yeah,
competitive.
there's a lot of realtors out there. So I'd be focusing on doing some things that are different. I frankly would be focusing on creating some knowledge pieces, maybe for first-time home buyers or people that are like living in really big houses and they're going to scale down to a condo, and how you do that, like the how-tos, 10 hacks, 5 steps, 3 this, whatever. And anything less than 10 or 10 or less is
Right.
good.
And that's
Right?
the
And
background.
I would share that.
So
Yeah.
that should be the easy part for me.
Yeah.
Building
And I would put it
knowledge.
out in social media.
Okay.
And I pay attention to Gary Vaynerchuk and what he talks about because, by the way, social media is not designed to be a one message and you send it out to all of your different channels the same message.
Right.
It's not designed for that. Facebook has its own use, YouTube has its own use, Instagram has its own use, Twitter has its own use. So understand those dynamics and then hit it the way you need to. You know?
Okay.
So I don't know if you've got time to stay after for folks, but I want to
Yeah.
give Amy a round of applause. And
All right, we're gonna turn off the live feed, so we'll see you guys on the flip side.
was she or was she not fabulous?
Yes.
Um,